got stuck with a sucky topic, and then as I was reasoning it, I really realized that not only did this pertain to my job, but this also pertained to my daily life with my kids, my husband, and some things that I probably could do better at, not only at work, but with the husband and the kids and my own life. So, have you ever heard the expression, you have to spend money to make money? Well, the same is true. You have to spend time to make time, right? You have to kind of slow down, take care of what you need to take care of so you can have more time. In other words, if you spend a little bit of time every day to get yourself organized, to make the to-do list with priorities and goals, you will actually save yourself time throughout the day. If you spend time focusing on each task as you do it, you will avoid mistakes and the time it takes to fix those mistakes, right? You guys ever been so busy where you're just going, and then you have to go back and fix what you didn't do? Yeah. Sometimes that takes a little bit longer. By planning ahead, you give yourself the big picture of what your day looks like. You can make decisions about what you actually need to get done and what you can wait. We live in such a complicated, hectic lives. Our to-do list seems to get longer every day. And with all these commitments and obligations comes stress and an increased level of stress. Perfect example, as a mother, I do Cub Scouts, we do music lessons, I work full time. I come home pretty stressed and I'm a yeller, so I often yell a lot. Like, hurry, come on, we gotta get shoes, we gotta eat, come on, eat. And I actually create more stress on my family and myself than if we maybe didn't have as many obligations. Understanding the principle of time management, you will help to simplify our busy lives. You can get a handle on all the tasks you want to do and the tasks you have to do throughout your day. You'll be left feeling calmer and less stressed at the end of the day. In this service, we'll learn how to stay organized, reduce your stress level, and be able to accomplish more. All right. Where does your time go? If you perform an activity for just 30 minutes every day, you will end up taking a solid year of your life. Have you guys ever seen that new TLC show where it's people who are extreme time managers? And so in both of these cases, they were people who experienced life traumatic experiences. They were almost pronounced dead, they got in horrible car accidents, and so now every minute of their lives are so precious to them that they calculate how to save themselves time. So like this woman figured out that if she wears flip-flops and doesn't take the time to tie her shoes, she can actually save 5 minutes a day, because she does it twice a day, for a week, times a month, and she figured out that wearing flip-flops, she saved herself an average of about 3 hours a year. And so those 3 hours were more important to her than wearing regular shoes. And so she managed every second of her day to try to get rid of the unnecessary stuff. Have you ever said, I'll be there in a jiffy? Did you know a jiffy is actually a unit of time? It's the same as 1/100th of a second. If you add up all the TV watched every year by the average American, you would equal one straight month of 24-hour TV watching. By the age of 6, most children spend more time watching TV than they will spend talking to their fathers their whole lives.
Sad.
Right? Over a lifetime, most people spend about 16 years working, 15 years sleeping, and 6 years watching TV, and 3 years eating. Sometimes people eat more than they watch TV, but more words are published every day than any person could ever read in a lifetime. Americans spend more time at work now than they did 10 years ago, and much more time than they did 20 years ago. When people waste time, it's a choice that they're making. In high school, actor Robin Williams wasted so much time that he was voted least likely to succeed. But now look at him.
Dead.
Right? Overwhelmed by the stress of trying to manage his new personality. you'll never be younger than you are right now. Do you know why multitasking is so hard, or why multitasking is so dangerous? Because you're not giving effort to one thing, right? We're doing our makeup while we're driving to work. You're most likely to get in a car accident versus the person not putting their makeup on.
Shaving, drinking coffee.
Yep, I've made some deals with my kids that I never even knew I made. I'm cooking dinner and they're like, hey mom, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, honey, that's all right, okay, whatever. And then we'll go to bed. You said you would give me a piece of candy. I didn't say that. And they're like, yeah, when we were in the kitchen, when you were cooking. And I'm like, oh, did I? Like, you just can't do everything all at one time. Since the 1990s, we've been told in order to do a good job, we have to be able to juggle many things all at once. In other words, multitask. Multitasking is doing more than one thing at a time. Sounds like a great way to calm your day, right? You can put your makeup on in the car while driving to work. You can return your calls to your children's school when you're doing your documentation. Well, it seems like you're managing your time well by doing several things at once. The truth, multitasking may cost you more time than it saves. It's funny because on a personal note, so I tell my husband the only time he multitasks is when he goes to the bathroom with his phone. But in actuality, if he didn't have his phone, he'd probably be out of there 10 times faster, right? Because he's doing more than one thing at a time. So that's a perfect example of what we're going to talk about. Well, it seems like you're managing your time by doing several things at once. The truth is, multitasking may cost you more time than you're saving. Studies have shown that people who think they're saving time by performing several tasks at once may not be accomplishing anything as well or as fast as if they did one task. It's shown that if you switch tasks, stop working on one activity to speed up on the next, it can make each task 2 to 4 times longer, and your brain scan studies show that if you do 2 things at once, you're only using half the brain task. Multitasking increases the level of stress hormones in the body, which can affect memory. Multitasking can be dangerous, and mistakes can be seriously, especially in healthcare. Breaking bad habits. Most healthcare workers are in the habit of multitasking, right? You're going to grab the shampoo and the conditioner when you walk over. You just constantly think about ways to save, so you're not having to go back and forth. You're able, especially if you have more than one patient in a facility, you're going to grab all their towels before any other CNAs at the facility grab them, right? And you're going to lay them out next to your patients. You're going to try to do as many things as once. Most healthcare workers are in the habit of multitasking. Your training probably even include lessons on how to take care of many things at once. Sometimes multitasking is unavoidable, but you don't have to do them all day long. Multitasking increases your chances of making a mistake, and making a mistake in healthcare can hurt and even be deadly. Most effective nursing assistants know how to give full attention to the task at hand. That means when you're giving care to a client, you're present with the client. You begin and end the task completely before moving on, and you keep your mind focused on the client you're caring for at that time, because even thinking about the next task takes your connection away from what you're doing in the present, right? You always get that. All right. Procrastinators. Procrastinators also affect your time management.
Oh boy,
All right.
how do we know that?
Procrastinators is when people put things off, especially things that they don't like to do. Many people procrastinate until the very last minute, and then they end up with a huge job on their hands. For example, have you ever put off doing a required paperwork at the end of the day and then have a huge pile to finish? Or have you ever waited to wash the dishes until there was no more clean dishes? Oh my gosh.
Every week.
Oh, and you go in there and it takes you like an hour and you're just like... There's a saying, never put off till tomorrow what you can do today. This is good advice, since procrastinators is a really time waster and bad habit. These are some ways that people can procrastinate. Susie spends so much time cutting out recipes and planning for what she wants to cook that she never has time to cook. She ends up going out to eat instead, even though she can't really afford it. I know that. Susan could set up time limits for her meal planning. She could schedule an hour every weekend to look through the recipes and plan a meal. Then she should try to buy ingredients so that she doesn't have an excuse not to cook.
And that's the solution.
That is a solution. Avoiding boring tasks. Example, Tom finds it's really boring to fold his client's laundry. He tends to put off the job, leaving the laundry in a heap until it gets wrinkled. Family members have started complaining. So now his supervisor is unhappy with him, all because of some laundry. Solution, Tom could alternate boring tasks with other ones that are more interesting. The task would be like a reward for completing the boring ones. I went to a parenting class once and they said, having your children pick up their room is not fun. So, and for a mother to go and clean the bathroom, it's not fun. For me, I have to go turn on the music, I have to get in the mood, I have to, sometimes even when I clean the whole house, I'm like, hey honey, let's go out to dinner, I clean the whole house, right? I reward myself. Well, it's the same thing. You want to balance those things out so you can reward yourself for the things that you absolutely hate to do. You can close those. Putting off the unpleasant. Example, Lydia finds it's hard to get along with one of her clients, the elderly woman named Miss Jones. She puts off taking care of Miss Jones until later in the day. But then both Lydia and her client are tired. This means that they take longer than they should to finish Miss Jones' personal care, and the client is even grumpier than usual. Solution. Lydia could ask Miss Jones what time of the day she likes to prefer her personal care, then do it at that time. This might make Miss Jones easier to get along with, or Lydia can plan to do Miss Jones' care first thing in the morning. This way Lydia's least favorite task is finished, done, and doesn't have to worry about it the rest of the day. Unrealistic deadlines. Example, Bill tends to work very slowly every morning, taking several breaks and taking time out to talk to his coworkers. After lunch, when Bill feels the time is running out, he speeds up, rushes through his work, and gets all done by the end of the day. Bill can set up a mini deadline for himself. He can divide his work into fourths and then tell himself he needs to finish 1/4 by 10, another fourth by 12, and so on, until his new way of working becomes a habit. Bill could ask his supervisor and coworkers to check if he's meeting his mini deadlines. Some common time wasters, right? We all have them, they're unavoidable. Interruptions. Sometimes when I really don't want to do my task that I'm supposed to be doing, an interruption, I'm like, oh really? No way. Oh my gosh. And you just help, you can't help but to be distracted. Even if you don't care what that person's talking about, you are now. Because it's an interruption. So interruptions in your days can cause you to waste a lot of time keeping your work from getting done. Remember, there will always be the things that change the way you do your day, the way your day is going, such as an accident, an emergency, a new client, assignment, staff meeting, picking up a slack for a coworker who is out sick, and problems with equipment. An example, Cynthia, home health aide, when she gets to Miss Jones's house, she finds the client's wheelchair is broken. Cynthia can't get Miss Johnson out of bed without it. A family member takes the chair to fix it while Cynthia waits at the house for over 2 hours. Now Cynthia is really late for her clients and has a hard time catching up, right? We're like, oh no, take your time. I'm just gonna play here on my phone for a little bit. Now your whole day, time management is gone. Solution. The first thing Cynthia should have done is call their supervisor. Pass, there's another way to get this chair fixed. Or if the client is unable to be left alone, Cynthia could visit. If the patient is able to be left alone, she could go visit another client and then come back to care for that. Taking shortcuts. Taking shortcuts can be a big waste of time. In fact, they can end up costing you more time instead of less. Melinda wants to save time during baths. So she was using a bar of soap to wash her client's hair. But the bar of soap caused her client to develop severe dry scalp. Now Melinda has to be ordered to use a special shampoo every day to brush her client's hair with a special brush. This procedure takes twice as long as before. Makes sense. Maybe Melinda could easily have set up her bath supplies so that the regular shampoo was handy. Taking a few seconds to put down the bar of soap and squeeze out some regular shampoo could have saved the loss of time in the end and giving her client a better care. All right, who's this one? Perfectionism. Anybody? Oh yeah, we got a couple of those. Okay, perfectionism is the desire to be perfect all the time. As a healthcare worker, it's important to do your best. Clients depend on your quality of care, and sometimes it means life or death to them. So trying to be perfect in your work is not a bad thing unless it takes over and begins to be a waste of your time. Marvin is an excellent nursing assistant who tries very hard to be perfect in everything he does. Lately, he has become more especially worried about making a mistake and taking longer and longer to finish his work. For example, to get a towel folded perfectly, sometimes he unfolds it and refolds it several times. You're not that bad, are you? Okay. And to make sure his documentation is perfect, he reads over what he has written 3 times.
Wow.
He needs glasses.
I do that. I read 3 times before I finally.
Are you serious?
When I'm making a note.
So when we look up perfectionism in the dictionary, it's gonna have a picture of you in it. So Marvin needs to do 2 things. First, he needs to have more faith in his skills. He is an excellent nursing assistant and needs to have faith in something's right the first time. Second, Marvin needs to set some priority in his work. Instead of trying to be perfect every task, he needs to decide which one are worth the time. For example, refolding a towel until they are perfect is a big waste of time,
True.
right? Marvin saves his perfectionism for tasks that are really important, like maybe documentation. Remember, mistakes are opportunities for learning and no one can be perfect. Is this one you? Lack of focus? Did it scare you? All right, more wasted time. Lack of focus. Bouncing from one task to another without really finishing anything can eat up a lot of time. This often happens to people who are easily distracted and often finding themselves going in 2 directions at once. Example, Steve is a bouncer constantly moving from task to task. Like a bouncer at a bar?
Yes.
Or a bouncer at like a nursing home, right? Keeping residents from beating themselves. Okay, but he doesn't really finish anything. Steve gets bored very easily and happy when his coworkers or families interrupt his work. He likes to do things differently every day. His supervisor hasn't really noticed the problem because Steve always looks busy, but his coworkers end up having to help him finish his work nearly every day. What kind of work would a bouncer do besides talking? I don't know.
They check IDs at the door, break up fights, crowd control, make sure the skirts
Maybe he's talking too
to the
much,
skirts.
so they don't notice that there's a fight going on.
Exactly.
His coworkers have to jump in. That's the only thing I could think of. Steve needs to set some basic goals to stick to them. If he gets bored, he should ask his supervisor if he can switch his client's assignments or complete his tasks in a different order in the same day. Steve might benefit from to-do list, checking off those tasks. Steve needs to remember that staying busy is not the same as getting things done. His coworkers shouldn't help him if it means they can't get their own work done. Steve needs to learn to complete his own work. All right, negative attitude. A negative attitude can really waste time and energy. Sheila doesn't really like her supervisors. She spends a lot of time trying to avoid her, and when they do meet up, Sheila only pretends to listen to what her boss is saying. Sheila uses up precious time every day complaining about complaining to coworkers, family, and members about her boss. She ends up having to work late or go into home without finishing her work. Sheila is on the line. Think about all the time she wasted, right? She probably goes home, spends more time complaining about complaining to her family and her boss, and her negative attitude may end up getting her fired. I think it's the fact she's not listening to her boss. Sheila has two main choices. She can find another job with a supervisor she likes, but chances are Sheila will take her negative attitude with her to her next job. Or two, Sheila can decide to change her attitude. She could sit down with her supervisor and try to talk out what bothers her. Or she could stop focusing on her boss and paying more attention to her clients. Either way, she would probably end up with more positive attitude, with more control over her time. Time is money, and how much is your time worth? Right? How many times do I tell my husband, he's like, I could build that. And I was like, well, how much would it cost us for you not to build it? Because that time is more important to me than whatever that item costs. So, you know, do you know what your time at work is worth? Here's an example. Mary makes $12 an hour as a nursing assistant.
Wow.
She works 8 hours a day.
Wow.
So what is Mary's time worth? Every day is worth $96. Wow. Every hour is worth 12, and every minute is worth 20 seconds. Ooh, have you guys ever done the math on your own?
Too depressing.
Right? Okay, so every minute Mary spends at work is worth 20 cents. So let's say she spends 15 minutes every day making a personal phone call. In a year, she'll have spent $780 worth of time making those calls. Or what if Mary wastes 30 minutes every day by trying to be too perfect? In a year, that means she has wasted $1,560 worth of time. Studies have shown that the average American usually works only 6 of their 8 hours. Really? So many times I go home and I'm like, oh, the V&A made so much money off of me today because I worked like a dog. Studies have shown that the average American actually works only, 6 hours. The rest of the time is wasted. Why? Those same studies say that people waste time because they are too tired to get through their workday. They get involved with personal matters at work. They aren't organized or spend too much time socializing. If Mary actually worked only 6 hours a day, that means that year she would have wasted $6,240. Let's say that Mary has 25 coworkers who also make the same amount. Mary's coworkers would have lost about, $156,000 in wasted time.
Wow.
Is that why we have productivity? Some people might say so. My workplace makes a lot of money. They won't miss $156,000, but that would be wrong. The more money a workplace loses, the less it has employee raising or improving work conditions. So people who waste time are hurting themselves in the long run. 2 more pages.
Are you tired?
What time we're in here till 4?
Yeah. You say no,
All right, goals and list of priorities. Oh my. The value of goal setting. People who set goals are able to see what they have done and are able to feel proud of their accomplishments. Jill's a home health aide who has trouble managing her time. She visits 6 clients every day and must turn in her paperwork on Friday. She never finishes her visits on time and usually ignores her paperwork all week. Then she works late every Friday to finish. She stresses and her husband is complaining about her late Fridays. Jill needs to set some goals for herself. I will complete 3 clients visits before lunch. I will complete the next 3 before 4, and I finish my paperwork between 4 and 5. Then if Jill has trouble finishing her visits, she could ask herself why, and she could stick to her goal. Even if it means working late for a few minutes, but it's better to work an extra 10 minutes every day than it is to work extra hours on Fridays. The importance of a to-do list. To-do lists are a list of tasks that need to be done in order to reach your goal. It's a way of organizing and planning your time so that you can get important things done in a certain amount of time. Think about this. If you ever made a Christmas list for presents and you want to buy for your family and friends, that to-do list, it's a list of gifts that you have to get certain time before Christmas. The to-do list is a great tool in your personal life and at work. I know we all have iPhones, right? You can set it, Siri, tell me when I go to Stater Brothers that I want to get milk. And when you walk into the grocery store, it'll remind you. Yeah, me and my husband have a shared note on our phones, and so I can see his to-do list and he can see mine. So, you know, we can see what's going on. Donald is a new nursing assistant, and he has trouble knowing what to do first at work. He ends up wasting time on mere tasks while letting the important tasks slide. Solution. Donald should sit down with his supervisor and coworker. Together, they should make a list of tasks that Donald's supposed to do and finish at the end of the day. Then they need to organize a list according to what's the most important and what needs to be done at certain times. Once Donald has learned the basics, he might want to do a to-do list every time the client assignment changes. When I talk to families about hiring private caregivers, I often tell families, because it's the daughter or the family that's driving the caregiver in the home, is to make a list. Make a list of what that person can do, because there's nothing worse than getting done with your list and you're like, what else can I do? What else can I do? And the senior's saying, oh, nothing at all. And then, you know, the next day the family's calling you up and being like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do the laundry? When you're like, well, they told me not to. So I'm always telling families, you know, make a list for the caregivers. Let them know what needs to get done for the week, what needs to get done for the day, and so what needs to be done, if it's so important to you, what needs to be done before breakfast, before lunch, before dinner, and so on. The purpose of priorities. The priority is something that is more important to do than anything else. For example, as healthcare workers, keeping your clients safe is a big priority. Getting your work done is also the same as another priority. The priority is that you can only have one top priority at a time. So what is it? Keeping your clients safe or getting your work done? Keeping them safe?
Yes.
John works as an assisted living facility. John has 3 different clients. Issues happening all at the same time. Miss Smith needs John's help to find her glasses right now. Mr. Jones looks about like he's about to fall, and Mr. Brown, a client with Alzheimer's disease, wanders down the hall looking lost. Solution. John can only have one top priority. What should it be? His first priority is to get help from Miss Jones before he falls. Once John has Miss Jones settled and safe, what should his next priority be? He needs to check on, Mr. Brown, since he's having trouble finding his room and might wander off, and at least important with Miss Smith's glasses. Even though she thinks it's an emergency, John will help her as soon as he can. And how many times have you guys been told that your priorities are mixed up compared to a patient? Oh, you shouldn't do that first. And you're like, well, I kind of need to do this first before I can do this. And in their eyes, they all believe that it's them. Okay, cool. Be sure to understand what your priorities is and make sure they match your supervisors. Each day, in order for your task may be changed based on a split-second decision about what's most important, and be prepared to make those priority decisions, keeping your clients in mind at all times. No excuses, just do it. It's called the worst first strategy. This means that you deal with the most unpleasant task right away instead of wasting your time. Example, Mabel is supposed to wake up one of her clients and turn him in bed every 4 hours. She hates doing this because the client is rather grumpy. Mabel puts it off and usually only turns him once every 8 hours. Miss Avery ends up with bed sores. Now Mabel has to turn every 2 hours. Her unpleasant task just got worse, right? Try focusing on the results of an unpleasant task. For example, maybe could think about the positive results of turning Miss Avery. She'll be more comfortable, she'll be able to help with skin breakdown, and she can feel proud her job got done well. All right, time management in the home setting. Caring for a client in the home presents a whole set of unique challenges in the nursing assistant. Not only are you caring for the client who may be ill or injured, but also caring for a lesser degree for other family members and for the home. As you begin a new home health aid assignment, make a list of the tasks you are expected to perform, such as laundry, preparing meals, and then schedule the tasks a block of time throughout the week. And I think you guys do an amazing job on this. I see some of you guys, when you get your new assignments, you go in, you ask the family, where's your towels, how do you like this? You know, you set that up unconsciously about what tasks need to be done. Working effectively. Organizing the supplies you need for each task in a place that is convenient for the task. For example, if your client needs dry dressing changes each day, assemble a small basket with dressing tape, scissors, and other supplies. Place the basket in a convenient place at bedside so that the dressings may be easier. And I see you guys do an amazing job like that. I've often heard you guys tell families, if you could just keep it right here for me, and when I come in every time it's right here for me, and I don't have to ask you, that also saves time, right? Because there's nothing worse than, you know, having to ask other people, can I open this cupboard? Do you think it might be in here? Do you think it might be in here? And they're telling you, oh, well, my sister was here last week. I don't know where she might have put it. And so that could save you a lot of time. If you're cleaning the house, place the cleaning supplies you need in a spray, sponge, dust cloth, in a basket. If you're cooking your client, consider taking one day to do all the cooking for the week, which really helps out. Each time you make a meal, make 1 or 2 extra servings. Place the extra serving in the freezer safe plastic container and label it, so then you just have to pull it out. Take some time to organize cupboards and refrigerators and freezers. That way you know what you have on hand, and always make a list before you go to the grocery store. You know how much times when you don't have a list and you go to one aisle and then you're like, oh no, I need this for my recipe. And you end up going over here and then you're like, oh, but I need this. And you end up just doing this the whole grocery trip instead of maybe going through the lines like some people do. All right, guys, last page. Final tips for time management. Create an extra hour, get up early. If you get up 1 hour early for a year, you will give yourself an extra 10 hours to equal 10 work weeks. If your supervisor asks you to do more tasks than you can finish in one day, be sure to ask them which tasks are the priorities. Keep in mind, most people tend to avoid difficult, boring tasks. Some of your coworkers might try to shift their unpleasant tasks on you. Be sure to say yes or no. No. Remember that each person has different amounts of energy at different times. If you pay attention to your energy levels for a few days, you'll probably see a pattern. Maybe you'll find that your muscles are stronger in the morning, but you think you're better in the afternoon. If possible, plan your day that you work hardest during the time you're most energy. Having a good breakfast helps you keep your brain fresh throughout the morning. Don't skip breakfast. Eating a large lunch makes many people feel sleepy. If you feel like taking a nap every afternoon, try eating a lighter lunch. Write down your goals. Look for ways to save energy every day, or save time every day. Share the things that work for you with your coworkers, and wear an alarm wristwatch. Then if you want to complete a task in 45 minutes, set the alarm for 30 minutes and track the progress. You can finish the task in 10 more minutes, and you wouldn't believe how well you can get your patients trained with a watch with a timer, because they'll start to notice that when the timer goes off that you're close to being done. And so when they hear that timer, so often you'll hear them, once you get them trained that timer's the 10-minute countdown that you need to leave, they're often like, okay, well, yeah, don't worry about my hair today. I know we're running behind because I was having you. And then you do have those ones that want to sucker you in.
Well, I don't think it's all of them.
Not all of them. Not all of them.
Some of them would call it Ishara and well, oh, she's always in a hurry. She even set up a time. You know?
Yep, I have one kid that does really good with time, and I have one kid that's like, 10 more minutes, Mom, 10 more minutes. I know that you can make that go off 10 more minutes. So, but it'll also help you to stay on track. Sometimes we get distracted on our time frames. If you are stuck not knowing what to ask yourself, what is the best way to use your time right? Answering these questions can help you to decide what is your priority should be at that particular time. Don't waste the time regarding past failures. Keep your to-do list. When creating a goal for yourself, make sure you have some way to measure your progress. Make sure your goals give you some action to take. Look at these goals. I will be more of a team player at work. It doesn't tell you how to meet the goal. Check out some same goals written in different ways. Every day at work, I will ask 2 coworkers if they need help. Keep in mind that teamwork can be real time savers. If you are at home health aide, you may not be able to work alongside someone. But if you are able to work together with your coworkers to do it. Example, if you do think, which do you think would get the task done faster? 2 people each 5 minutes, or 2 people making 10 beds together? 2 people each make 5 beds, or 2 people making 10? Try it and see. All right, you guys have your test?
It's always a good idea to read the care plan before you go in the house too.
All right.
That's always an excellent idea.
About you to get not bit by the dog.
There you go.
All right, who wants to read the first one while I find the answers?
Multitasking is always a great way to get more done in less time.
False.
False. Keep going. I'm gonna go get the answers. Make sure we're right.
Procrastination is when you put something off because you just don't want to do it.
True.
Interruptions can waste large portions of your day, if not filled with properly.
True.
Being perfect at everything is the best way to make good use of your time.
False. Doing 3 or 4 tasks at a time. All the following will help you save and manage your time except
A.
A. The worst first strategy means you get easy tasks out of the way first. False. If your supervisor gives you more work than you can handle,
Quick.
A. I'm just kidding.
Here.
B. Which one's your priorities? People.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, do you need my answers?
Oh, we got them all. We got them.
All right, what'd you guys get for 1?
False.
False.
2,
True.
3,
True.
4.
False.
Perfect. 5.
A.
A.
Yep.
6.
False.
Perfect.
B.
7.
Yep.
A.
7.
7B.
7B.
8.
False.
Perfect. 9.
True.
True.
Perfect. 10.
True.
True.
You got it.